Just recording this quick one to walk you through how I'm thinking about collecting funding data, but also building it in a way that is evergreen, which means that it's just going to be running forever. Essentially, the goal here is to stay on the lookout for any mentions of recent fundings and have that trigger a Google alert, which is then going to get pushed into a Clay workflow. So just to break it down a little bit, we're going to be going via feeds. And so anything that's like publicly available on the internet can trigger a Google alert if it has a certain keyword. So if you're looking for any like new executive that might have gotten hired at a company or a company that might have raised funding, anything that might be public on Google that you can find online, you can simply trigger a Google alert with certain keywords. And then you can create a link with that Google alert and push this data into a tool like Clay. And so that's how I'm thinking about it for the funding data. And so I'm only using a few keywords here. I'm using Series A, Series B, and Series C. And each of these keywords is going to be, pushing data into a Clay table. Now, why we want to push this into Clay is so that we can filter out this data to make sure it's relevant. Because if say a news article has the word series in it and it has the letter A, which oftentimes it will, then it doesn't mean that it's necessarily related to a company raising a Series A. And so by pushing that data into Clay, we can create a simple prompt that is going to be looking at the link itself, right? And analyzing if it talks about a company that recently raised funding or not. And so if it does, and if it is relevant, mark it as true, otherwise mark it as false. And so we're doing this same build for Series A, Series B, Series C. We could also include other keywords like raised funding, investment round, but I think just to narrow efforts down a little bit, we'll stick to Series A, Series B, and Series C. If you look at this overview table here, it gives you a pretty good idea of what's happening. So we're creating these three RSS tables. One is Series A, B, and C. We are writing or pushing this data into another table called companies funding table with a simple write to another table column in each of these tables. And we're basically aggregating all this data into like a main source of truth. Now, just to go back a little bit, the reason it says run condition not met here is because we're only pushing in the data that actually is relevant to this use case of actually raising funding. So if it says run condition not met, it'll be because the article itself is not related to raising funds. It just happened to have the words, series and the letter C in this article. And so we're going to be only pushing relevant data into an aggregated table. From there, we can use another AI agent to go and look into this RSS URL and give us an output of the company name that raised the funding, the domain of this company, and then the funding round itself. And it's going to output it in a JSON schema. Another quick tip for Clay users is you can generate a prompt here when you're saying that the output is JSON schema, just so that it gives you it prompts the JSON for you automatically. And then you can simply look here and you've got your structured data very neatly organized, and you can just push those into columns. And from there, you can get to work. So backtracking a little bit, what do we have? We've got three different keywords that are getting pulled from Google Alerts, Series A, Series B, Series C, in real time, right? Is getting pushed into these separate tables. And then we are making sure on each individual table that the articles that we're referring to actually have something to do with a company raising Series A. And then once we push this aggregated data into a source of truth into a final company table, then we're further breaking it down to go and find the domain of the company, the name of the company, and the series itself. Now, the cherry on the cake is that we are only keeping the records where the confidence here is high. So you'll notice it says high confidence here. This means that the AI is actually, confident about the output, that it knows that it's giving us the right answer. We want to avoid anything that's lower mid. So yeah, that's the idea here. Eventually, we'll be pushing all this data into the CRM, and we're just going to have this live feedback, right, from everything that's happening. So let me know if you have any questions. This is an RSS build. Thanks, guys. Bye.